Well, hello my friends, it's Shawn Petite and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is part 4 of how I use my collage papers, and we are doing some reductive painting today, one of my favorite things to do. So here's all my lovely collage papers that I just love and make me happy. I've got a 9x12 mixed media paper out here that has been gessoed. I've got my matte gel and my catalyst tool or my color shaper, and we are just going to go to town. I'm putting my matte gel down. And I'm using matte gel because it's heavier and it will hold all of the layers and keep the wrinkles out and make it nice and smooth. And so I'm just tearing bits of my collage papers. And the only thing that I'm thinking about as I'm doing this is, and I don't want you to think too hard because the best things happen very serendipitously when we don't think. But I'm thinking right now about, okay, so this is going to be kind of ground. I'm going to do flowers, so I'm putting greens and some darkers and some neutrals and different things like that at the bottom of my page. And then I will put some blues up at the top for like skies. And in the middle, I will use some more flower patterns, some bolder patterns that might show up behind our flowers as the flowers. And that's really the only thing that I'm thinking about. Usually when I don't plan, when I don't think too hard about it, it always turns out better. So just have fun and play and see what happens. Once I get all of my papers down, I will come back over with my catalyst tool and really scrub that out. And you can use a catalyst tool, you can use a color shaper, you can use a credit card, but I will really kind of push all of those papers down, picking up any excess gel medium and making sure all those edges are down because we've got a lot of edges, and if they're sticking up, it can be difficult to paint over. Now I've got about 3 or 4 of my flower stencils out, and stencils are the best way to see what pattern or what flower design or what would look good behind your painting. And so I love using my stencils this way. And so when I find an area that's interesting that might show up really neatly in the pattern, I will trace out that flower onto my sheet. And it's such a no-brainer. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to come up with a flower idea. I can just find my stencil, find the one that speaks to me, and see how it looks, and then just trace it out. And it's so easy. It's so much fun. And I don't go into a lot of the detail with the stencil. I'm just basically getting the outline. And they don't even really have to make sense. So I've kind of drawn out my ground down at the bottom. I've got a bunch of small brushes out now, and I will switch back and forth between a few of them. I'm starting with my very smallest brush and my gesso. And all I want to do in this layer at this point is just get those flowers to show up, to pull them out from the background. And that's what this layer is all about. So our layer, I'm using my gesso with a tiny bit of water, not a ton. And I'm just going to try to pull them out from the background. When you're doing this, make sure that you make sure that you feather out your line, your gesso line, so that it's not this straight line around your flower. Kind of feather it out, smush it out a little bit, but make sure that your layers are light and transparent, so that, because we've got a lot of layers still to go, and so by doing that, you'll be able to see the papers underneath. That we're still, focusing on the main design, but you'll still be able to see all of our yummy papers underneath when we do light layers. So I'm just going to continue to outline my flowers with my gesso, feathering out my edges and just really starting to reveal them so I can see what the next step will be. So this area up here was really speaking to me. I love that little flower pattern. And so our flowers don't have to look a particular way. This is a real whimsical way to create. And so I just did a circle and it was perfect. It had that wonderful flower pattern in the middle of it and I loved it. So when I start to add color, I always start with the easiest areas first. And so I knew this was ground or going to be a representing ground. So I started there and I added my green. And I'm using a combination of acrylic inks and regular paints, all different types of bodied paints, craft paints, medium body paints. I don't use any heavy bodies, but I mix them all up. I just water them down a little bit so that they're transparent and you can see the wonderful layers underneath. And so my next easiest area is the sky area. And I will start real light. I always start light. We can always go darker. And so once I get my feet under me and I feel a little bit more confident, I like the color, then I can go bolder. I can add stronger layers, stronger colors. But I will just start adding some sky and then dive into going around my flowers. You can see here, I knew I wanted a little bit darker color because that color was too light. It wasn't going to contrast too well around the flowers, so I went a little bolder. The one thing I want you to remember as you start adding your color is you'll see as I start adding color around my flowers, I try to go with colors that are contrasting with the papers that are showing up as our flowers. So if the paper underneath was blue, I wouldn't use blue to go around my flowers. I would use a different color. And you'll see me go back and forth, realizing some areas I need to change the color because it's not doesn't make that flower show up. It doesn't contrast because the paper and the paint are too similar. So you'll see me go back and forth, finding the right color to make that flower pop and show up. So on this flower, if I were to go around this flower with a very neutral, light color, it wouldn't show up because the papers are neutral and light. So I've got most of things kind of blocked in. And at the bottom, I'm just adding some greens to kind of bring up that ground to maybe represent some grasses, different things like that. But really, honestly, it doesn't have to represent anything. This is fun and whimsical, and it can be playful in anything. So I've got all of my color blocked in now, and this is where it starts to come alive. I've got my charcoal pencil, and I always start light, kind of get some real kind of sketchy lines around it, and take a look at my shading and see if everything looks okay, if the pattern, the shape of the flower, all that looks okay. Then once I've done that and I've gone around all the flowers that way, then I will come back with more intense shading, with darker lines, with scratchier lines, a little bit freer, and really kind of accentuate all of the dark places, the shadows, the under parts, the connecting areas. All of that I will come back in and add bolder shading, and you can see how amazing it looks with that shading. And how it just makes everything come together. It makes it pop, makes all the pieces stand out. All of the supplies will be listed on the blog, and the link to the blog, nope, that's not right. All the supplies will be listed down below in the YouTube description box. I'm not doing a blog post for this video. Everything will be listed down below in the YouTube description box. All right, so now we're going to have some fun. I have cut some leaves from some vintage book pages. You could use whatever you want. Just keep in mind, we've got a lot going on, and the more pattern you add, the busier it will get. So that's why I chose the book pages. Now I'm going to make some marks, some scribbles, different things like that, just to kind of play. It's already whimsical, it's already fun, so let's just go with it. And so I'm using some Stabilo Woody pencils, some Neocolor pencils, my Stabilo All pencil, my charcoal pencil. I'm going to add some grasses, some sketchy little wildflowers, and just really add the personality and the interest to this. I've got a China marker. white China marker that I will use for my wildflowers. And I'm really just kind of playing. I'm going to add lines and highlights and lowlights and different things like that throughout my flowers with my woodies, with my pencils, and making stripes at the bottom. Why not? Let's have fun. Let's be different. Let's play. Just further adding a little bit more dimension and depth. As I start putting everything together, I can see where I need, maybe a little bit more shading or something like that. So I'm just going to shade around my leaves, add my marks, my fun lines. I'll add some stripes to my leaves. So I'm going to continue to add my marks and my fun things, my flowers, a few little bits of additional shading, that kind of thing. And we're going to call it done. So much fun. I love reductive painting. It's so therapeutic to me. I can get lost in pulling out my subject, whatever that might be. So play and have fun and enjoy the process. Make it whimsical and experiment a little bit. I hope you enjoyed this 4-part series, and if you enjoyed today's project or any of the projects, please like and subscribe. It makes such a difference, and ring that bell or click that bell so you're notified whenever I have a video come out each week. And again, all the supplies will be listed down below in the YouTube description box. All right, my friends, this was so much fun, and I will see you soon.